Good morning, everyone. I hope that you guys are doing well today. I want to give you a little insider knowledge and a little understanding of what goes on in the background when you call the IRS. I also want to caution some of you who are taking the advice of people in the comments because, again, everybody's situation and filing requirements are different. So I want to show you the research path that is taken when on a typical call. So also, when you guys ask me questions in the DMs or you're posting your questions in the comment section, I do not give you any answers based on my memory. I go to the IRS manual, which I showed you guys how to get to, and I research your question. So I'm not giving you anything from off the top of my head based on memory, anything like that. Now, granted, because I've worked for the IRS for a number of years, I know how to research. I know where to search. So I understand that that's, can be a little bit difficult for you guys. But when you guys are calling, I want to give you a little understanding of what goes on in the background. So we were always taught that you never give an answer to a taxpayer based on your memory because the IRS manuals and the guidelines update and they change. They are revised pretty often. Also, let's say you and another taxpayer, the taxpayer before you call, and you guys had the same question, like your refund was being held. I can't say, I can't think. Of course, I'm not going to tell you. Well, the last taxpayer had the same question, so I'm just going to give them the same answer. It doesn't work like that. So, what you guys might not know is that all calls are screened for quality service. Not only are they screened for quality service, they are screen recorded. Because whenever a taxpayer calls, and based on your question, there's a research path that I am supposed to take, right? So the screen recording is for the people who's monitoring your calls for them to see which research path you took, and that will also be used for your annual reviews and your quarterly reviews. So if you call me and ask me something about refunds, and I am taking a research path that doesn't lead to answering your questions for the refunds, that's an error for me, right? So I am never to give you an answer based on what I did for someone else yesterday and based on what I remember from last week, because again, everything changes. So when you guys it sounds like a lot of you all are leaning towards taking the advice of people in the comments, and I want to caution you against that. So your balance due and another taxpayer's balance due are there for different reasons. So for me to say, oh, okay, this person had a balance due, this is what you do as well. You do the same thing. I'm going to tell you to do the same thing I told the last taxpayer. And that would not be right for me to do. Right? So just like when you ask me a question, I am doing my due diligence. Please understand that I do not give you anything from off the top of my head. I'm going to the manual and I'm looking it up. So for someone to come in the comment section and say, oh, this is what I did, you should do this. I did this and I did that. And y'all say, oh, okay, tell me how you did that. And I'm looking like, guys, please think about this, because what I'm never going to do is tell you to do something that I know is going to get you in further trouble or put you in more debt. Okay, so again, back to what's going on in the call when you call into the IRS. It takes a long time because, okay, at minimum, so we have one screen, right? One prompter, one monitor, but we have like 7 to 8 screens up on our screen at any one time. So we have our research path that we have to take, which is the IRS manual. We have to look at your tax return as a whole. Sometimes we have to look at your wage and your income. We have to look at any freeze codes. We have to look at the notes that's on the account. Maybe you called in last week, or maybe someone who's handling your case put notes inside the case and they say, this is taxpayer called in, blah, blah, blah. This is what I said. This is what I'm doing. Or if your case is assigned to someone currently working on the case, waiting for additional documents or waiting, whatever the case is, right? So it's taking a long time because a lot of times it's not just the 1 year that we're accessing, it's multiple years. So trust me when I tell you that I was never sitting idly by waiting to pick up the next call. As soon as I'm done with one taxpayer, I have to notate the account. I try to notate the account before I let them off, because the moment I click that button, the next call comes directly in. I don't have a chance to catch my breath, right? So no one is sitting there waiting, just sitting, listening to the phone ring and not answering you. Trust me, every minute is accounted for. All right. And every call is screen recorded and audio recorded. So if that call gets chosen, because you never know which call is going to get chosen for your annual reviews. So it's always in your best interest to make sure you do handle the call according to the IRS guidelines. So they can see exactly where my mouse is going. They can see, the research path, where I went, where I didn't go. So after that call is over, or when I'm getting reviewed on that case, they'll say, hey, you went here, but you should have went there. They see everything that you're doing. They see what you're writing, in the account, and let's say someone sends you a message, your friends in the group, in the office, will send you a message. All of that stuff gets screen recorded. So, there's no privacy, so to speak. But I wanted to give you some insider knowledge of what goes on in the background, but also to please be careful when taking advice from people in the comment section, because, again, if I have to do the research and I used to work for the IRS, what would make you think that the person who's never worked for the IRS and don't know the IRS guidelines, even if they had an experience, right? They had their own experience and they are trying to advise you based on their personal experience, but your filing requirements are different. Maybe they are a single taxpayer. Maybe you're a taxpayer who's married, filing joint, and you have dependents, or vice versa. You cannot take the advice of someone who have not looked into your account and who doesn't understand the research path that you're supposed to take. All right. So I know this video is long, but I want to give you guys a little bit of insight, and hopefully you guys get a better understanding of what goes on in the background when you call the IRS. So hopefully you guys watch this video to the end. All right. So I'll be back with more teachings, and hey, you guys have a good day.